Hello. So, in this session, I want to talk about one of the aspects of the mind, that being honor, and really digging into the science of honor and how it actually works. So, honor is a faculty of the mind. The mind is a triune organ in that it exists in the body, the soul, and the spirit, and actually acts as a channel for all three to be affected. So, the consciousness that flows through the three actually affects all three. Um, And one of the major faculties, there's four major faculties of the mind. One of them is honor. Honor, I like to equate it to the banner of a kingdom or the laws, the commandments of a kingdom. That it's a banner that follows everyone, that lets the world around you know what you stand for and what you stand against. Honor is responsible for your repulsion and attraction, your positive and your negative. It's the way that the world around you is told to respond to you. What you honor is attracted, what you dishonor is rejected. And the whole science of honor is itself in itself is knowing what to honor and what to intentionally dishonor. For example, some of you may have noticed that people who dishonor or speak against, they attack people who move in the supernatural, oftentimes don't move in the supernatural themselves. And it's typically due to the lack of honor for those manifestations. See, it's hard to attract something you don't like. I've gone on record before saying that even when it comes down to churches and communities and gatherings, it's hard to attract a community that you have no compassion for, that you actually don't care that much about. It's an unspoken banner, it's an unseen flag that lets the world around you know how they should respond to you. So sometimes, without a person doing anything, the world around them picks up on the fact that they might have animosity towards them, or they might have compassion for them. It's an unspoken thing. It's the law of their energy. So people have asked me, how do I increase my magnitude? How do I increase my repulsion? How do I increase my attraction to certain things? How do I draw things in? How do I become more magnetic? It's by being intentional with your honor. Now, in church culture, they present honor as in somewhat of a uh, almost like a worship of the leader, as in you don't speak against the leader. You just got to focus on what you like about them. To an extent, that is true to the law of honor, but it ends up with a lot of messy and unnecessary things along with that, where it then becomes righteousness in some cases, or speaking against abuse is seen as a sign of dishonor, rather than really the exposure of abuse and mistreatment. So that is a simple truth. If you see something that you value in someone or something else, to begin to honor that in them, or simply just to give that more of your attention, what you pour your energy into, it comes back. This is the real reaping and sowing. It's not just about your money. It's about your energy as a whole. Everything that passes through you, what you're giving away most is what you'll receive the most. Give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and run it over. This is anything. If you're a person that is giving away a lot of their money, well, it flows as a currency. Think of it as a current, a river, a stream. As long as it's moving, more is going to continue to come. That's one of the laws of the world we live in, is that we somewhat need chaos to exist. And chaos isn't a bad word. Chaos just refers to the nation of motion itself. This ever-changing, ever-moving thing. This unstoppable force. The world, we are chaotic by nature. It's kind of a faculty built within us, as us being mostly water. Well, water has to live in a chaotic state for it to be necessary to sustain life. We even see that when water sits still for too long, it begins to mold and mildew. We're made to move. We're made to have action. So when it comes down to the culture of honor, so that's how this science works. You're giving away your energy. You're giving of yourself and reaping a harvest on that which you've released. Now, sadly, the most common reaping and sowing that we do is unconscious. So the things that we think we should be receiving just because we put conscious thought into it don't show up as much because we're not aware of all the other things that we've sown into or sown against. It's a constant gardening process where every experience plants a new seed, and you really have to be intentional. Whatever's getting fed the most is what's going to grow the most. Whatever you're sowing the most is what you're going to reap the most of. And most of us sow unconsciously, which means that in a way we're honoring and dishonoring things without even realizing that we're doing it. This is something that I valued when people talk about how they start their morning. I've heard a lot of people say they started off with gratitude. Gratitude in the science of honor acts as the culture of maintenance. This is how you maintain that which you've reaped. By getting into the process of gratitude, they'll start their morning off by thinking about all the things that they're grateful for and just saying, I'm thankful for this, I'm thankful for that, I'm grateful for this, I'm thankful for that. It cultivates honor around the things that you already have and that you want to keep. Think about it in a relational setting. If you don't feel honored, you typically don't show up. If you feel disrespected, you most likely won't go. Simultaneously, once you show up, let's say you were honored enough to show up, well, if you go unnoticed, unrecognized, mistreated for too long, you'll fade off, might not want to come back. Gratitude acts as the culture of hospitality. Gratitude is how you show hospitality to energy. It tells it, I'm thankful that you're here, please stay. Rather than, I'm thankful that you came, please go. So these are some of the keys of cultivation for our energetic system. This is how you deal with your polarity. This is how you manage the things in your life. Most of the issues that we have are due to the flag that we carry, which means that it's down to what we've intentionally honored and dishonored. If I've built up momentum in a certain area, it takes just as much to undo it. As in, if I spent 40 years speaking against every person that has a healing and miracle ministry, spent my whole life tearing against them, they're all fake, God doesn't do that anymore, that's not real, they're all charlatans, and then my relative needs help, and then I go to pray for it, and it doesn't work. Well, it's not because those manifestations are fake, it's because I've built momentum that says healing should never come to me. It's fake. It doesn't exist. Those people are operating under the devil. It's a manifestation purely of my own magnetism. So I want to emphasize that what you reject and what you accept doesn't make those things a constant. What it does is it brings it into a certain level of availability. As in, the things that I dishonor find it hard to come to me. The things that I honor find it easier to come to me. They find it easier to approach me. So it's about really maintaining your space, governing your arena, and being intentional on what's allowed to enter and exit your field, your interactive circle. This is the law of kings. This is the function of kingship in the spirit world, where you're managing your territory. Your banner tells the world around you what's allowed in and what needs to go. And this is how the world is treating us, based on our energetic signal. Some people have a signal that says, hey, sickness is welcome here, which is why they're always sick. They always have an infirmity. It's a state of consciousness that they can begin to work on themselves, shift themselves out of it, and they'll never experience a sickness again. People who are always in a state of poverty, that is a consciousness. That's a flag. That's an issue of the flag. You have to change that. Once people shift out of a poverty mindset, they then begin to develop wealth. They then begin to get stability, because that's what most people want. Most people don't even want to be the richest person on the earth. They just want to be stable. And that's a topic in itself. So this is the culture of honor. This is the science of honor. Being intentional. What do I want to attract? I need to make sure that my energy, that my focus, that my consciousness isn't in any way repulsive to it. Vice versa. What am I attracting? What am I tired of experiencing? I need to make sure that my consciousness is not attracting that very thing. I need to repel that. Because it still goes into a family or a relational setting. A lot of people have family issues. You might find it hard to visit a relative that you might have issues with. It doesn't mean it's impossible for y'all to be in the same room together, but it's likely if someone says, hey, you want to go to the family reunion? It's like, who's going to be there? Well, cousin so-and-so is going to be there. You might hesitate on going. It'll be rare, few and far between that y'all ever interact. This is the same way with every other aspect of life. Once you begin to dishonor the right things, the things that you don't want, they will avoid you. Very seldom, if at all, will you actually experience them yourself. You might meet people who have them, because that's the next step, is that in a way you then become a city of refuge for the very thing that you've learned how to repel. So you might then, oftentimes you'll begin to attract people who are suffering from that condition, but for some reason they recognize that that issue isn't around you, so they'll seek refuge in you. They're in poverty. You're not. They come to you to seek refuge, in a sense. Not even to ask for money. Some of them might ask for money, but just being in your presence gets them out of the consciousness that keeps them bound to that lifestyle. Just being around you as a person who rejects sickness and disease, well, they start to feel better just because you're around physically. Not just emotionally, not just comfort, but they actually start to get well again just because they're within the perimeter of your domain. So that's all I'll share for y'all today. I have longer sessions on this available on Patreon. Links in the description down below. Also, my 13-week mentorship course is available. It's actually on sale right now, half off until September 1st. So if you're interested in that, links also in the description down below, schooloftheempire.com. Y'all be blessed. Later.